I got a funny story to tell you guys. Oh man. Okay, so the first time I met Stace, I was a 22-year-old Jersey boy. Not Jersey Shore type of Jersey boy. That does not exist except for in Seaside Heights or up in New York where those guys are from. But Jersey boy, normal 20-something-year-old, you know, out having a good time. Just got out of a long-term relationship. Was looking for somebody to hang out with, you know, another girl. That was a little different from the girl that I was dating before that. So I found Stace by accident on a dating website. I was searching within 25, I think it was 20 or 25 miles of my house, which in Jersey encompasses a lot of people. And somehow Stace showed up from western Pennsylvania, out near Pittsburgh, but in the middle of nowhere. 6.5 hours, probably, I don't know, 200 miles, maybe more. She's better at that stuff than I am. But yeah, so we talked on the phone, and we talked on the phone forever. I mean, thousands of minutes. I was working a job where I was able to do that, and it was nice. Really got to know her and figured out that I really wanted to meet her. So my aunt sold me a 97 or 98 Pontiac Grand Prix, and the thing was beautiful. 3600 liter V6, or 3600 V6, 3.6 liter, and man, that car was the bomb. For I think I was 20 when I got it. For a 20-year-old to have a $30-something thousand car. Yeah, in Jersey you get pulled over a lot, even if you're a good driver, but just if you're a kid, they pull you over and harass you all the time. So I would get pulled over and get harassed, and every time they would ask me, whose car is this? And I'd be like, mine. And they'd be like, no, really, who's on the title? And I would say, me. And they would not believe me until I got the paperwork out and showed it to them that it was my car. But yeah, my aunt is amazing. She's an old railroad worker. Recently retired. Well, recently now, a couple years. But retired from the railroad, lives down in Maryland, Cumberland, Maryland, which is a big railroad town. And here's the kayaker again. And I needed a car bad. And she's the type that switches up cars pretty often. So she gave me an absolute steal on the car. I mean, I got it for not even near close what it was worth. But thank you, Aunt Becky. You rock. You made my 20s. So I had this beautiful car, and Stace and I make arrangements that I'm going to go out and got tickets to a Tom Petty concert out in western Pennsylvania. So all excited to meet her and all excited to go see Tom Petty and spend the weekend with her for the first time ever. So she's like, once you get out here, it's a little convoluted once you get off of 80 to get back to her dad's house. It's on a dirt road in the middle of nowhere. And she's like, yeah, you'll never find it. So I'm just going to I'm gonna meet you at a truck stop. And you can just follow, we'll have lunch, and then you can follow me back to the house. No, I'm like, okay, not thinking anything funny at all. Hop in the car, get ready to go. I'm gonna stop right here. This looks pretty cool. So I hop in the car, and I'm used to road trips from being a kid. Always took road trips with my parents and my mom. I drive 6.5 hours to a truck stop. We get there, and I meet up with her and her friend. Smart girl, bring a friend to meeting a random guy from the internet. Didn't think twice about that. But we have lunch. There's a ranch dressing incident. I think I'll save the ranch dressing incident story for later. But there's a ranch dressing incident, and we finish up with lunch and we start to head back to her house. And so we take off from the truck stop, and she's down off of 80 back roads from the truck stop, and we start going, and we're getting pretty far, and I'm like, all right, oh, whatever, you know, country girl lives in the country. So we get into this tiny little town, and go through it, and through that tiny little town we take a right on a little dirt road next to a cemetery. And I'm like, all right, you know, driving the Pontiac, I'm like, man, I hope we don't have to go too far on this dirt road. I, you know, got my car washed to come see this girl, you know, being a dude. So we drive down this dirt road forever, and we're passing all these little country houses and trailers and just all kinds of Pennsylvania goodness, and come to another dirt road. We turn down that dirt road, and it starts swooping down into this valley, and I'm starting to get a little creeped out. I'm like, okay, this chick is taking me like 20, what seemed like 25 miles into the middle of nowhere, and I'm kind of, you know, my Jersey brain is kicking in. Street smarts are kicking in. And I'm like, this chick is taking me out here, and there's going to be a bunch of dudes in pickup trucks with a shotgun. They're going to take my freaking car. They're going to take my money, my credit cards, and they're going to leave me out here in the middle of nowhere. Or, you know, take care of me. And I've told her this story, and she thinks it's hilarious. But I'm like, oh man, this is not going to be good. So we get down there, and we come around, and finally we get to her dad's house, and her dad is a scrapper, so he's got like 18-wheeler trailers, all kinds of old covered wagons, and oh my god, snowmobiles, four-wheelers, all kinds of stuff taken apart, and all kinds of scrap metal everywhere. And I mean, it just looks like a junkyard. And I'm like thoroughly freaked out at this point, because I still hadn't talked to her. I was still in my car. I'm like, here we go. She actually brought me to the place where they're gonna kill me. So she pulls up in the driveway, and I pull up behind her. I'm like, oh well, if I'm gonna go, at least I get to go looking at a pretty girl. And she hops out and she says, this is my dad's house, come on in. And we go on in, and it was her dad's house, and she introduced me to her dad and his girlfriend at the time. And that was the beginning of our relationship, was me thinking that I was going to die in to dueling banjos in the middle of frickin' nowhere. But I ended up, over time, loving it out there. Oh my god. You could do whatever you wanted out there. I mean, shooting guns, setting off fireworks, riding four-wheelers. Ooh, that's another good story. We'll save that one for later too. Somebody will remind me four-wheelers at some point. But yeah, that was great. My Tasty Lou is a little redneck girl, and she married herself a city boy. And everybody in her family knows it, but they love me, I think. At least my impression is that they love me. They all have accepted me into their homes and whatnot. And they're really awesome people. And it's a lot of my opinions on country folk have changed since meeting my wife. Yeah, I think it was one of those things where you don't know anything about it, so you're kind of scared of it. Which is ridiculous, I know. Now that I'm older, I know. But it's true. But met a lot of really cool people through her, a lot of great friends, and we've now been married for 3 years. We've been together for, I believe, 8. So the four-wheeler story. My wife, Miss Tasty Lou herself, Tasty Lou Lewenstein, refuses to ride on the back of any vehicle. She will ride passenger, shotgun in a car. She'll ride in the back seat of a car, but on a four-wheeler or dirt bike or snowmobile or any type of, I don't know, whatever you want to call those, adventurous riding apparatus. That sounds good. She has to be in control. She has to steer. She has to be in control of the throttle. And she, even for her husband, even for her father, will not ride on the back of anything. So, same weekend that I met her, we went to the Tom Petty concert and we came back and we were at her dad's house, and surprisingly enough, he had one four-wheeler that was put all the way together and running. So we hop on the four-wheeler, or she hops on the four-wheeler, and I'm like, excuse me, little girl. I'm going to drive. Why don't you hang on to the back of me and tell me where to go? She's like, no. And I'm like, what? I'm like, all right, so where's the other four-wheeler? Because, little lady, I am not riding on the back with you driving. First of all, that's just disrespectful. And also, I'm twice your size. If we go up any sort of hill, we're going to flip over. And that's happened to me before, and it's not fun. So she's like, nope, this is the only one that runs, and this is what we're doing. And I'm like, all newly in love and puppy love and stuff. So, all right, I guess we're just going down dirt roads, right? Didn't say that, but thought it, and probably should have thought. If I know what I know now, I would have known better. But hop on the back, and away we go. And this girl just starts ripping down their road. It's her family name is the name of the road, but just ripping. And we end up in a field, kind of somewhere like that the field over there in the distance, and just start flying through this field. The grass is coming up, almost as high as the four-wheeler, and we're just flying through it. And eventually we come to a hill, and she starts to go up the hill, and I'm like, all right, whatever. Start going, and all of a sudden the trail is blocked by a bunch of saplings. Let's see. Okay, that pine tree, the smallest one to the left right there, maybe a little bit smaller than that, not quite as thick. But she pulls right up to one, and she's like, hold on. And I'm like, what are you doing? And she's like, oh, I'm just going to run it over, just bend it down and go over it. I'm like, you're out of your mind. I was like, with me on the back of this four-wheeler, I'm like, dude, come on. I mean, I'm a big guy. This is really going to hurt when this quad flips over, and not only you land on top of me, which, I wouldn't mind, but the quad lands on top of you. We are both not going to be happy campers. She's like, oh, you're such a wimp, and starts, just sassing me and telling me that I was a wuss and that, just trust her. And I've learned over my lifetime that when people say, just trust me, don't ever trust them, because they're going to hurt you. So, I jump off the back of the four-wheeler like a gazelle. Like, before she could even get it back into gear, I flew off the back of the four-wheeler, and I was like, I'm like, you go ahead and run that tree over if you want. But I suggest you jump off if it starts to flip over on you. And man, this country girl ran this tree down right over it. She's like, you totally could have stayed right on the back of the, hello. You totally could have stayed right on the back of the, that looked like somebody I work with. But anyway, she ran right over the tree and just like it was nothing. I still think that if she would have ran it over while I was on the back, I would have flipped. But she, to this day, denies that fact and thinks that I'm crazy. But that's the four-wheeler story. The ranch dressing story, I'm still going to save. I think the ranch dressing story should just be between me and my wife. That's one of those things. It's just one of those stories that, it's not bad or anything. It's just cute. But it's ours. Alright, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, the sun's going down, at least over here. I'm sure it's going to be a beautiful sunset when I get back on the other side of the mountain. But stay by Platt River Road.
Come on, y'all! Get up on your feet! Keep this frequency clear. Wow.